you don't 100% want to always be the gear guy. You don't want to always do the gear video.
I don't. I had that conversation with somebody again today, so I do not want to be the gear guy. I unfortunately feel like the gear guy. I just don't want to be the gear guy.
So it's 2025, which means it has been 10 years since I started this YouTube channel. A decade of Darwin on the trail here on YouTube. And a lot has changed about the platform YouTube and videos and the whole backpacking genre over the last 10 years. You see, when I first started my channel back in 2015, I would say about 90% of backpacking content on YouTube was being made by long distance hikers like myself. You had people like Redbeard, Loner, Bigfoot, Dixie, myself, just to name a few. And most of us were making videos and starting channels because we wanted to share a certain adventure with the audience, whether that was hiking the Appalachian Trail, hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, doing a bike tour, something like that. And that was the main focus, was to vlog and share an adventure. And then things like tips and tricks videos and gear reviews were a byproduct of that adventure, of the thing that we were doing anyways, and then using the YouTube platform to share that stuff, to inspire people and share information. Now, at the time, there were a handful of specific gear review channels, but I would say it wasn't that many. And most of those channels were like big companies, right? Like you had REI doing gear reviews of what the best tent was and why. But all of these smaller YouTube channels, including myself, were really talking about their experience with a piece of gear over that big adventure. Fast forward to 2025, with so many people starting channels, I feel like the majority of YouTube channels are people simply just talking about gear, comparing things, talking about the latest and greatest, the top 10 best backpacking tents of 2025, or the GOAT of whatever random backpacking gear gadget that you can't live without. Now, with that being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with those types of channels.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
People creating those types of videos, or those videos in particular. Hell, I find myself watching those from time to time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people wanting to watch those videos as long as you're getting something out of it. And before I go any further, I'm just sharing my thoughts and my opinions of what I've witnessed, of how much it's changed in the last 10 years. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, as they say. These are just kind of my observations and what I've seen happen, and the fact that I'm starting to sense so much sensationalism in backpacking YouTube videos, just like the rest of YouTube, where everybody is making clickbaity thumbnails and all thumbnails will look the same. Every YouTube title is sensationalized. All the videos seem to be the same. People talking about the same types of gear. And as a creative person, I feel like, from my point of view, it seems like people are afraid to be creative, do new things, talk about new things, and try new things. And I find myself getting wrapped into that as well, somebody that's been doing this for 10 years. Speaking of having an adventure and sharing it with others, have you ever wanted to get out on a backpacking trip with me, my wife, and my friends? Have you ever wanted to do some hiking on the Pacific Crest Trail? Have you wanted to learn more about backpacking and not watch YouTube videos, actually get out in the field and sharpen your skills? If the answer is yes to any of these, come join me from June 17th through the 21st at Highlander Big Bear in Big Bear, California. I did the event last year, had an absolute blast, which is why I'm hosting it again this June. So whether you are new to backpacking or you're a seasoned trail veteran like myself, Highlander is not just hiking and camping, but it's an all-inclusive backpacking event with things like speaking engagements, gear shakedowns and seminars, live entertainment, and more. And you can choose to either do the 2-day, the 3-day, or the 4-day event, but whatever you choose, you'll still spend time on trail and at camp with me, my wife, and my friends. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, check out my link down below to get more info on the event and 20% off your registration. I cannot wait to get back out to Big Bear, California and on the PCT this year, and I hope to see some of you there. Like I said, I started my channel in 2015. And the whole reason I started my channel is because I wanted to share the adventure that I just went on which was hiking the Appalachian Trail. So the first videos I put up on my channel were like these slideshows of photos that I had taken out on the AT. And then I started talking about some of the gear that I had used. I started talking about some of the tips and tricks and things that I had learned on the trail. I wasn't just making gear videos to make gear videos. I wasn't just comparing things. I was just talking about the things I was using from my experience. And that was pretty much what the genre was. You see, I went to go hike the Appalachian Trail not to make YouTube videos. I went to go hike the Pacific Crest Trail not to make YouTube videos. I went to Nepal to climb a 20,000 foot peak not to make YouTube videos. I did these things because it's what I wanted to do and I was going to do them anyways. And then I used YouTube as a platform to share that stuff with people. And then again, gear videos and tips and tricks videos are a byproduct of that adventure, but number one being the adventure that I want to share with people. So today I want to talk about just the whole landscape and how it's changed and how it's become frustrating being a creative and being somebody that wants to do something new, wants to share something new with people, wants to put out a video talking about my latest adventure. And because it's not about gear, and it's not based around my opinion on what's the latest and greatest and new, it doesn't get seen, it doesn't get watched. Because one of the behind the scene things that I think a lot of people don't realize that watch backpacking YouTube is how much it is controlled by an algorithm. You see, when I put out a new video of an adventure that I've been on, or me talking about a new thing that I'm getting into, like pack rafting or climbing, those videos don't do as well and actually do pretty poor versus a video where I'm just talking about gear, just a general gear video. So people either don't want to watch the video because it's not about gear, or the algorithm doesn't push it because the algorithm has been taught that people only want to see a video about gear. And as a creative person, it's a bit disheartening because you put your blood, your sweat, and your tears into what you make, and then it doesn't get watched. I'll give you a perfect example. Here are the last 10 videos that I've put on my channel. Now, if you look at number 10, now this is the last 10 videos in about the first 5 days of their performance after being released. Number 10 is a video that I shot in Nepal. Not only did I shoot a video in Nepal, I traveled to Nepal to do a huge adventure, an expedition to climb a 20,000 foot mountain in the shadow of Mount Everest. That video is a full film. It has interviews, beautiful scenery. It has a storyline. It has a message. And it took me 11 months from the time I took off to do that adventure to the day it got released to make. 11 months of my time to make. And I made it to inspire and share with other people. Now, if you look at the number 1 video on that list, it's a video that I've made a ton of times here on my channel, usually an annual video, talking about gear that I'm over for the year. Now, that video is pretty much copy and paste every year for me, and that video took me about 2 days to make. However, that video has 5 times the amount of views than the number 10 video that took me 11 months to make. And as a creative person, as someone that wants to do new things and share new things with people to inspire them, it does become disheartening. So, because I just wanted to find out, am I crazy? Am I the only person that thinks this way? Is it just because I've been doing it for so many years? I decided to sit down with a fellow backpacking YouTube creator to have a conversation with him about it and find out what his thoughts were and to see if, am I just the crazy one, or is this actually affecting a lot of other people in the space? I want to do this video because I've just been getting so aggravated lately with like the fact that, well, you and I've had this conversation of how everything seems to be like, everybody just seems to keep, making the same thing. And a lot of that's because the algorithm is like, if you try to be creative and do anything new, it's like the algorithm wants to like stomp you down and not let you do it. So that leads it to everybody almost making like the same type of content, because anybody that wants to branch off and do something different, it's like a 1 in a million chance it's going to like break through and really blow up like your other stuff. Right.
Yep.
And I've been wanting to do this video just kind of talking about like the state of backpacking YouTube and how much it's changed just like in the last 10 years that I've been doing it. When I started back in 2015, it was like title, thumbnail, none of that stuff mattered at all. It just like the content mattered. It mattered that you had good audio, that your video like didn't look too crappy, and it wasn't too boring, and you weren't saying and stuff like that.
Right.
But as far as like, the thumbnail needs to look this way and it needs to be these colors and it needs to have an arrow and an X and a like a clickbaity title. Like go back and like look at some of my old thumbnails. They're terrible. They're absolutely terrible,
Yeah,
but
right.
they
Yeah.
were effective because they just said exactly what the video was. Where now I feel like it's totally changed. So, you know, for you, how many, I said I've been doing this for 10 years, started back in 2015. When did you start your channel?
November 2018. So it's about 5.5 years.
Okay, 5.5 years. So do you think like from whenever you started, because obviously like that was, you know, what was that, 3 years after I had started, was there a big emphasis, do you think, whenever like you first started making videos with thumbnails and titles and all of that? Or were you kind of just making everything?
Yeah, not as much as it is today, for sure. I think it was way less back then. I think thumbnails and titles were a huge part of it, but I think today that the pool of people making these types of videos is so big
Sure.
that in order to stand out, you have to have something that is eye-popping, unfortunately. Because
Right.
I've got a video that we're doing right now about a clean water project in Africa. That is a great video, and it's got a great message, and it's got a great ending, and it's a good video. But I've got to now click people into the video by coming up with some catchy title and thumbnail. It's really
Right.
frustrating.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about. Is like I know that you spend quite a bit of time on your thumbnails, and you and I have had a lot of conversations about thumbnails and stuff. And you know, like I know that you repeat a lot of your thumbnails. Like you use the same photo in a lot of your thumbnails. I've always
Yep.
been like how I've always done it is the majority of my thumbnails. I've always tried to take a screenshot from the video. Like a really good screenshot. Like it used to just be a crappy screenshot. Now it's like at least I try to
Yeah.
doctor them up, make them
Yeah.
a little bit better. Me actually out in the field, but I know you and like there's a lot of other people on the platform that do that. We'll call it the Mr. Beast thumbnail, where it's like there's a background and it's like a cutout, and then you kind of put yourself in there, like holding or talking about or emphasizing on whatever it is. So, like, I guess. Do you necessarily want to do those types of thumbnails, or do you
No.
do those types of thumbnails because
No,
of it?
I do those sometimes because I got the formula. They're just easy for me to make.
Right.
I don't want to. I would rather just pull a screenshot out and make the thumbnail. But I guess I'm lazy is part of it
Okay.
because those are so easy for me to make because
Yeah.
I've made so many of them. But then the reason I'm holding something out like this, because I try to make it is I have to make it. My goal now, unfortunately, is to make people want to know what it is I'm holding. And so they have to click on it to see it.
Sure.
And so that's the only reason we do stuff like that now. Like, or maybe it's something I'm holding out that is controversial that, wait a minute, I like that. Why is he saying he doesn't like it?
Sure,
It's
yeah.
as unfortunate as clickbait is, I think the world
Ah.
of YouTube has forced us to
And
do.
that's what I was so that was the next thing I was going to ask you is like sometimes I feel like whenever I kind of go that way with my thumbs a little bit just because I really want the video to like I know the content's good and as you know like this is something I think that some people don't understand and I get so frustrated on is like you spend so much time on some videos and you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's like you're creative, you put all your heart into it, and it's like you know, you can put out one with we'll call it an honest thumbnail or a thumbnail that's maybe not as flashy
Yeah.
and clickbaity and stuff. And then
Yep.
the video doesn't do well. It just bombs because of that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
like, I think a lot of people don't understand that. And like, you know, you always get those comments like clickbait, always clickbait. what's your
Yeah.
thought on the whole clickbait comment?
I hate clickbait myself.
Sure.
Last week I put out a video. I just said, hey, I need to tell you a few things. And the thumbnail is just me standing there
Yeah.
looking at the camera. I'm not really smiling. I'm just sort of looking at the camera. The only reason I chose that photo is because I'm wearing a red jacket and I thought, oh, maybe my red jacket will draw eyes to the thumbnail. That's the only reason I chose the thumbnail.
Sure.
But I've been getting clickbait
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just can't win.
Yeah.
It's either, it's like,
Do you
I
think
can't
it's
please
do you think it's
everybody.
frustrating when people call it clickbait because they don't understand that it's like if I don't make it clickbait, you
Oh
won't
yeah.
watch it.
What people don't understand about YouTube is that you have to feed the beast of YouTube, and YouTube requires you to have some form of clickbait, no matter what it is. Whether
Yeah.
but it has to be an honest clickbait.
Right.
Whatever you're doing to click people into the video has to be. You can't let them feel duped, but people do because they're so used to being
Sure.
clickbaited, which is unfortunate. I think that's why you can't make a. I can't just make a thumbnail of a backpack that I'm talking about because nobody's going to click on it. I have to make a thumbnail.
Used to be able to. Used to be able to.
Used to be able
I
to,
got
totally.
a lot of thumbnails that proven
Yeah,
concept.
but I could be like thumbnail of the backpack with big red X in it and me going, "Ugh, I hate it. You know what I mean? And then people will click on it.
Right.
But then people will tell me it's clickbait.
Right.
So
it's frustrating. Yeah, it's a little frustrating. So, with that being said, I feel like, I guess kind of the theme of kind of what I wanted to talk about and have a conversation about is it really comes down to, I have this thought, and maybe I'm alone. Maybe I'm just like, I'm the old curmudgeon on my porch that's been doing it for 10 years. I'm like, you damn kids. But like, I feel like because of stuff like that, I can't help to think that like, the way I feel is that like, the algorithm is controlling creativity. Like,
I agree
because,
with that.
yeah, like just because it's like, no matter what I make, the video, how it's presented, the first minute to make sure it's exciting and fun, the thumbnail, the title is all based on an algorithm and hoping that the video performs so people see the meat of the video and the thing that I spent so much time making. And
Yep.
I feel like it's this like oppressive thing that it's like creators' creativity is like controlled by something that we can't control at all. Which I find just insanely frustrating. I think I want to bang my head up against the wall all the time because of that. It's like, because this isn't what I want to make. It's not how I want to present it. I want to do this other thing that I feel passionate about and creative about. But if I
Yep.
do that, I know it's going to bomb and nobody's going to see it. And I think a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, yeah, so going back to what I was just saying earlier about this video that we're doing on Africa, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
We've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this video that we're making. I spent 10 days of my life traveling, working on it. We've spent probably 4 weeks solid working on an edit for it.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about that I'm going to put out this video and it's going to tank because the algorithm wants to tell people about a tent or something.
Right.
It's unfortunate. I think you mentioned Mr. Beast. I think it's interesting. He talked about this a little bit when he's doing his Beast games on Amazon. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
No.
Okay, so he's Amazon has got a whole series of him doing something called Beast games, and he talks about the relief of not having to do what we're talking about, which is a thumbnail and a title and an intro.
Really?
Yeah. So he talks about finally being able to be able to tell a story with breath rather than retention, which I thought was really interesting to hear somebody like him talk about.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you watch I'm not into it at all. My wife and kid, my 12-year-old and my wife like it. But when you watch it, it's a totally different feel from his videos that he has on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because he's able to make them differently. Unfortunately, the beast of YouTube requires us to fish for people. And the way we fish is with the bait of a thumbnail and a title.
Yeah. And I also feel like to a point content, right? Like maybe why so many people make kind of the same content all the time. And because it is hard to kind of break off into something new and to try something new and create. It's something anybody that's been watching my channel for the past 10 years, it's like every couple of years I get real frustrated and then I bring it up a bunch of just like, I just want to do something different. I'm tired of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it frustrates me because it's just like in the grand scheme of things, the whole point of doing YouTube and the whole point of like putting stuff out there is to be creative and share your creativity with people to hopefully inspire them to like want to go backpacking or start a YouTube channel or anything. So I think that's where it kind of feels oppressive by some like some computer program that's like deciding like how creative you can actually be. Because I know you and I've had conversations, and I know you don't 100% want to always be the gear guy. You don't want to always do the gear video.
I don't. I had that conversation with somebody again today, so I do not want to be the gear guy. I unfortunately feel like the gear guy. I just don't want to be the gear guy.
Yeah, and I don't always want to be the thru hiker guy, right? The guy who's going to go do the big long trails and stuff like that. It's Yeah, it's interesting. But like, do you feel at all like you're struggling to like be new and creative and get something out there because you're worried about it not getting watched?
Yes, in a very deep way.
Yeah.
Very deep way. I feel this, but well, because I've wanted to um, tell stories,
Sure.
and I feel like talking about a tent isn't telling stories, right?
Right.
And so if I'm known for one thing and then I try to be this other thing that I already am, but the world doesn't know that yet,
Yeah.
and I want to show them that I'm this other thing, the pivot is very, very daunting, because I know that in order to keep people watching the channel, I have to sprinkle in these gear videos.
Right.
And then for me, the easy way lately has just been like, I don't really want to go test people's gear anymore. Like I
Right.
will,
Yeah.
because I know that's what I need to do. I'll just have you come show me the gear. And that's been helpful, because those are easy videos for me to make, and I can only have like the torment for a short amount of time versus a long amount of time. But yeah, I totally feel that way. It's super frustrating.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Yeah, like I said, I just kind of wanted to get somebody else's opinion on it and somebody else's thought on it. Sometimes, like, I feel like I'm in this like echo chamber where I come in here and I just drive myself nuts because I'm like, well, this week I'm gonna make this, and oh shit, it's a great video, and I can't wait for people to see it. And I spent all this time, back in October, I shot up to Colorado and went to this factory, this gear company's factory called Alpaca. They make pack rafts. Really crazy, mad science behind how they make it. And I went up there to do a pack rafting trip on this river. But I was like, oh, while I'm up here, I'll go show how the pack raft's made, and kind of do this how it's made. Dude, we put so much work into that video, so much work. And because, there we kept trying to figure out like what's the most clickbaity title we could put on it, what's the most clickbaity thumbnail, and we just like we tried as hard as we could, and it's still like just completely bombed, and it's just like it's heartbreaking as a creative. Yeah.
You are preaching to the choir, my friend. I feel the same way, 100%. There's so many videos that we've made where, you put all that work into it, and then it's just not what your audience wanted to see. I will say, though, that YouTube does have a really unique way of finding. Sometimes it'll find an audience, because I think you talked about a video that you put out recently.
Yeah.
Well, not recently. It was a few months ago, where you interviewed somebody about Mount Everest.
Oh yeah, Tom.
Yeah,
and the Everest
and that
video,
was
yeah.
sort of a video that took some time to find an audience.
Yeah, it's weird though. It's like I think I've told you that's like the one video out of every
Yeah.
video I've ever made that's ever done that.
That was a super good video.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I loved it. I watched the whole thing straight through. I was like, oh, this is
Cool.
great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think that for me, and it's I go through this, so I'm going to say it now. I'll state it to you and state it to everybody else, because I go through this cycle about every 2 years, and I'll get so frustrated that I'll either give up or I'll give up.
Don't give up. Yeah, don't give up.
So I'm done doing it. I'm just done. Like I'm going to put out the stuff I want to put out when I want to put it out, and I'm going to package it the way I want to package it, and just be creative and do the things I've always done. And the reason I started my channel 10 years ago is like, oh, I think this is cool. Maybe some other people will think this is cool.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, I've seen that happen. I've seen people do what you're about to say, and then all of a sudden people love the authenticity of it, and it somehow catches on. So
yeah, I've always tried to do that. Like I said, I go in waves.
Yeah.
I remember back in 2016, I tried to stop doing and this is a year after I started my channel. I was like, bike packing, screw backpacking. Put out a bunch of bike Yeah, this is nothing new for me. I've been doing this since the beginning. I'd get real frustrated, and then I'm ready to do something different. So we'll see. Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for giving me your thoughts and opinions. I guess if you had to tell the audience, what's something you want the audience to know in regards to all of that of a creator trying to be creative, the whole clickbait, like what's something that you want to impart to the
I would
audience?
probably say be a little less. You just try to understand that we don't want to clickbait you, but we might have to adjust a little.
Yeah.
That would be my big takeaway to tell an audience. Unfortunately, as much as I don't want to clickbait you, I am in competition with multiple millions of YouTube channels. Yeah. And in order to have you watch my video, I have to find something that you're going to click on.
Don't be so cynical, people. Don't be so damn cynical.
Don't do it.
All right, there you go. A great conversation with Dan about kind of what he's experienced in the last handful of years of him creating content and what he feels like he has to do to get his videos watched. I think it kind of becomes a bit of a trap because you feel like you can't be creative. You can't try new things because to a point it starts to feel like a waste of time to do it. And it's just, again, it's disheartening as a creator. I didn't make this video to complain or bitch or again throw anybody under the bus, but I did want to have a conversation because I talk to so many other YouTube creators and I hear the same thing from them. I hear them say, "Well, I'm just going to make another one of those videos because at least people will watch it." And they feel like they can't step outside of that box and try something new and share something new with people. But just know that if you have a favorite creator, if you have a favorite person on YouTube, whether it's in the backpacking space or not, support the new content they're doing. Watch it because you're getting their most real, authentic self when they make that stuff. That's probably the reason that you're watching and subscribe to their channel in the first place, is because that's what you fell in love with, was them making what they felt creative about. So try to support that, I guess. And try not to be so cynical when somebody has to do something that's sensationalized because it's the only way you can get your stuff watched. Now, for me, I've been doing this for 10 years and, I am always going to be adventure first. I'm always going to go after these things that I want to do, like this 400-mile through hike in the Alaskan range in June. And with that is going to be the byproduct of gear videos, tips and tricks, advice videos around that thing. But I'm not just ever going to make videos just to make videos. I'm not just going to review gear to review gear. It's always going to be for a reason and a purpose to hopefully inspire you guys to get out and try some of this stuff for yourself. Hopefully this video gave you a great insight into all of this and just kind of the crazy mind of somebody that puts out YouTube content every single week. All right, so to give you guys some old school Darwin from all the way back in the day, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope you're taking care of each other. I love you, and as always, thanks for watching.